Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. SeKo Starcraft with Game 2 between Keen DRG, both of Team MVP. Donglegu took the first game after a half an hour of just smashing his opponent in the face over and over again, but it shows the ability of Keen to just stick with it and never give up. We've got the other new display type. This one is 1v1. And I'm interested. This is kind of weird. It's got that name tab across the top, which you can just get rid of altogether. It gives us a bit more real estate. We can keep it. We can get rid of production tabby, but I like production tabby. And then it's got the income as well as the supply up there. Kind of neat. I'm alright with that. Anywho, we got another giant 4-player map that they're playing on. The first one showed how if you really lose map control to a zerg player, how they can just essentially roll over you tirelessly because of how much they have available to them, how many expansions they have, all the different ways they can do to run by and harass. And just this mix of tech from DRG shut down the drop play, shut down this ability to get out that bio-harass we're seeing with the Widow Mines that's so popular right now. And DRG played it really smart, grouping up a lot of his units to make sure that he attacks in small amounts to trigger the Widow Mines before going in with the rest. Trading really bad. He lost like 50% more units throughout that game. We have a CC first on this side. On the low ground, of all things. It just showed how games are very difficult here when we're going to talk about how you're going to deal with somebody that's got that opportunity to just macro up and play kind of to their feelings of comfort. Feelings of comfort. Sound like a total romantic loser. Anywho, fairly typical opening. Not too different than what we saw from last game, though this one had a command center before barracks. We are seeing great pull to get the SCV down here to defend the other SCV. Time for the Terran to go scout. It's not likely he's going to scout in the right direction first, unless he's really lucky. Overlords are already in the right position. First orbital is on the way. Second command center is about to finish. And that orbital should be popping right away as well. There we are. Now there's always that interesting opportunity you can go for in this position as a Zerg player if you get out like 12, 14 Zerglings, come over here, bust down the bunker, force the lift off. And sometimes I can buy you a bit of time. I've tried it once in a while just to change things up a little bit. But as a Terran player you can just lift up, move over here, and save your SCVs, and just keep building up until you can move out and take your natural anyways. So it's difficult to really justify some sort of attack like that. We haven't had a scout yet from Keen here. It's a little bit in the dark. But if he knows Dongreku well, and if they're on the same team, I assume they play against each other a lot, he probably anticipates a much more significant macro opening. We've got earlier gas this time. Last game he didn't get his gas until after 50 supply. This time it's shortly after 30 that he wants to go and start getting his tech in place. Two Lings are scouting for this SCV. Doesn't look like they will grab it. We have good positioning on the Overlords here. Be able to pop in and see what's going on and get out of there. I think that's actually, yeah, those are the first two Marines. Which is why if you go back to what I was saying with that, 12, 14 Ling push against somebody this greedy, sometimes you can just set them a long ways behind, but you gotta understand that's 7 more drones that you don't have out mining, which is why you don't really see too many Zerg players do that. If you've got the intentions to go for a bust or some sort of quasi all-in, it's quasi all-in. A little less all-in of an all-in. You don't see a lot of people do that, or they start off the game with that mentality. They will 9 pool or something like that instead. Once again, we see DRG really committing to that creep. I'm a little surprised he hasn't put one on his main yet to attach those two. It's not like drops going to be happening anytime too fast yet with that expansion going down. It's actually a third command center, but this would be the time about when a starport would be on the way, and he would have the opportunity to drop into the main. Third hatch, well timed. About the same time as he got it down last game, around the 7-minute mark. He's got a good chunk of gas. We still haven't seen exactly all the stuff he wants to do with it. He's got speed, and he's got his overlord speed. It's going to help him with this large map stay a bit more mobile. But he hasn't got his lair tech, he hasn't moved into roaches, and we haven't seen a baneling nest yet either. So he's going to bank up a fair bit of gas. We'll see what his tech choice is going to be. It could be mutas. He did enjoy using them last game, but once again, he's not even on lair yet. So whatever he's going for, it'll be a while before he can spend it all. Even upgrades. Does he have his Evo chambers out yet? Doesn't look that way. I'm seeing a trend across a lot of Korean players where there's a very big delay on the upgrades. We see the engineering bays are just starting to finish up. It's not really too big of a deal. It's just saying that I'm going to commit more to economy and to units before I do to upgrades. That way I have a better chance of having a badass economy and surviving at the same time. And I think that's what DRG is doing here, delaying his Evo chambers quite a bit. He's now finally going to get them, help out with a bit of a wall as he takes his other gas. Lair, about 25% done. Quite a few hellions here. There's no transfusions available. Oh yeah, you got to be very careful not to line up against this. Didn't quite get that successful surround. Fair bit of damage on these, but the queens are very beat up here. Lost quite a few lings, but it's more unfortunate if he loses queens. Ugh. Down to 4 hellions that are pretty beat up, so he's not going to be able to do too much more with that. Creep spread will continue for now. Let's see what we got. Once this pops, what our tech choice will be. Macro hatch up in place as well. We do have the upgrades just starting off here, but they're a fair bit behind the Terrans. There's our Spire Tech. Whoopsies. Spire Tech. There we go. I figured that's what we're going to be seeing. I don't know if people like this interface as much. It's a little bit more to get used to looking in just this space as opposed to in the middle. It's kind of strange for me as well. Lots and lots and lots and lots of creep. Last game, because of the control DRG had over the map, we saw that Keen was not able to really deny that creep spread, deny that vision and that speed. It appears as though with the Zergling speed, the Overlord speed, the mutas, that it's really important for DRG to have that mobility. You can deal with the drops without having to overinvest in defenses back at home. Couple of lings run in just to see what's going on. Won't be able to do too much yet. Oh. Looks like the lings were considering a run by. They might have got into there, but it's difficult to say what kind of damage would have come from it. I would love to see Burrow come out of the Zerg player as well. Just to burrow either some banelings for mines, or just some Zerglings for vision. Sometimes you do a run by, you can hide 2 or 3 Zerglings somewhere, and the opponent either is forced to use a scan or forgets about them. And then you've got that opportunity to jump in there and do some more damage. Supplies are pretty even right now. 5th base on the way. 4th base. That is the 4th base, people. On the way for the Zerg player. Sneaks a couple of workers there. It's not too bad. Not too shabby. Creep spread's already knocking at his doorstep, though, and this is where he's more than likely going to be expanding next. Getting a planetary up here and some good defenses works well. Looks like we tried to have a drop from Keen, but with all the Mutalisks out now, it's not likely that's going to get too much accomplished. He's got to be very careful from the Widow Mines. We saw some really amazing Widow Mine shots. Ooh. That Overlord got smoked. Risky maneuver here. Good quick little snipe and then backs away. It's not going to be very easy for him to get a lot of damage with these mutas. It's going to be more about him controlling the medevacs and trying to snipe a little bit of damage here and there. Looks like DRG is comfortable enough now, ahead by a little bit of supply. It looks like he wants to maybe go for a bit of economic damage. but his opponent right now is really moving out onto the map. Triggered most of the Widow Mines. Pretty big bust over here. Looks like DRG's willing to trade his map control to try to get the economic damage. Oh no. "21 workers killed." It's not that good. Unit stab, 56 workers, so he's not terrible, right? He's down by about 30. But it's not like he's as far behind as he could be. Plenty of Widow Mines in the middle to try to control some runbys. This has been like DRG's trademark against Keen in these games so far. It's just the runby pressure, keeping the Terran at home, doing the little damage you can, and allowing you to control the map better. He's almost maxed out now. He's getting down his infestation pit. 2-2 will be finishing up with 3, plus 3 at least for the weapons. Plus 3 armor. Must not be able to afford right now. He's already on the way for the Terran player. Handful of banelings coming in. They do get just DPS to death. Not the best use of banelings on that bunker. That doesn't really make too big of a difference. Big pile of units just bursting forth here. As a Zerg player, it's very important to know that you gotta always be in a constant state of making some banelings, because if you go and trade them all away and then you'll lose them, very easy to just get attacked on the counter and have nothing in place to be able to deal with it. This vision from DRG is fantastic. It's letting him know when the attacks are coming at him. That's a really interesting Doom drop. It's kind of a funky scenario right now. Oh boy, that's what I'm talking about with those banelings. Always be in a state. Woo. Those mutas are fried. You always want to be in a state of making more, so that way you're in a position to be able to fight more cost effectively. Still no workers killed there for Keen. Another 11 have been killed for DRG. He moved into Marauders a little bit earlier this game, and I think that's wise. He's been getting doused with banelings, and if you got... Ooh. If you have a Terran player that just likes to 1A his way into your army, a Zerg player with banelings, having those Marauders to tank the baneling hits, so valuable. Keen by this point knows that DRG is going to constantly just counterattack him. Snapping off a couple workers here and there. Overall, still 61 workers for the Terran, which is pretty good at the saturation that he has for his bases. When he's ready to move into a 4th, which is easier said than done, DRG is going to be in a position to really stop that. But when he's ready to move for a 4th, then maybe he's going to need a few more workers. As he produces more now, he's just really oversaturating the bases he has. Looks like Keen is just not quite able to focus down those banelings that are in these armies. You'll see somebody like Marine King, who's got just infamous marine control, able to really pick off the banelings individually, and then doesn't have to worry so much about the Zerglings at all. Plus 3 is only about 20% done on the attack for the Zerg player, whereas if we look at the Terran, he's got plus 3 armor, but plus 3 attack is already finished. Space is getting very well saturated. Very little drop success once again from our Terran player. Looks like he's going to work very hard to get this 4th base up. Got a lot of defenses in play to start with. I would have thought it'd been worthwhile for him to maybe put up a couple of barracks here. A couple more production facilities that have high hit points, just to be able to deal with the baneling hits. Put some Widow Mines behind it in a bunker. That's a pretty good hit there. Got quite a few of the mutas. Banelings don't get the best hits. Pretty good pull from Keen there. Has this base up and going. Well, he can't afford to get down his planetary. He's just a little more focused on other things. Money-wise, DRG's keeping his money fairly low considering his base count because of how ineffectively he's trading. So I don't want income tab. I want loss tab. Come on, computer. I believe it. Whoa. That's a pretty sick little graphic there. Lost-wise, it's actually a bit closer than it was last game. He is going to focus down that command center. Yep, he is going to grab it. Not necessarily that cost effective for the Zerg player, but it is going to slow down the Terran quite a bit. Still got a lot of gas he wants to mine from these bases, so I don't know if he's going to lift up that main one like he did in game 1. Once again, lots of banelings always in production. Ultras are finally on the way. 3-3 is going to finish up here any moment. And this Terran army's got to be very careful about what it's going to do out on the map. It's very, very dangerous kind of dance you've got to do with the creep and the Widow Mines. Just trying to cut off the Terran player. Good surround. He's got to be careful not to trade a lot of his banelings on the Marauders. Ooh, good Widow Mine shot. This is just such a brutal style from DRG. Just reckless. Once again, Burrow might be a pretty cute little trick to have up your sleeve against this. Sounds like something's burning, but nothing's burning. One Zergling going to town up there. Infestors making their way out. Ultras tanking a lot of the Widow Mine shots. This is why you don't fight on creep. And the super funky Korean GUG as he leaves the game. Great play out of DRG. I love this style. I'm not too sure what Keen did wrong here. He played great. It's just him giving this opportunity for a top level Zerg player to just play his game and play at his pace and his style. And I don't think you can really afford that opportunity to somebody like DRG. There just wasn't the kind of entrenched units Keen needed to hold off that kind of attack well enough. Great little series. Goes to DRG. Hope you guys enjoyed that. I should have some more of these Korean tournaments coming for you guys real soon.